2026 is set to be an amazing year in the world of retro gaming handhelds. And if you want to know some of my ideas of what we can expect and what I'm excited for in 2026, then you can check out my previous video. However, even as we've entered 2026, we already have some amazing retro gaming handhelds to choose from 2025. And so today, in no particular order, I want to go through my 10 favorite retro gaming handhelds from 2025 that are still amazing to buy in 2026. Starting off, the ROG Slide was one of the most unique retro gaming handhelds to release in 2025. Looking a lot more like an Xperia mobile phone, the ROG Slide did something different compared to what a lot of handhelds were doing at the time. We saw a lot of flip consoles coming out, and Anbernic decided to go with the slide functionality. Now, the ROG Slide packs a punch, being able to give PS2 and GameCube emulation, and is able to handle those games brilliantly thanks to its larger size, giving a larger screen and more real estate for controls to give a more ergonomic feel. Now, the Anbernic ROG Slide is a little bit chunky, but it is still pocketable thanks to the slide functionality. Now, I'm not sure if we'll ever see another slide console. I really hope that we do. But for the time being, the ROG Slide remains one of the most interesting, unique, and fun retro gaming handhelds you can get your hands on. Next up is potentially the best clone console I've seen to date, the ROG 34X Now, the ROG 34X is basically a clone console of the GBA SP. Dimensions, size, looks, and even the flip functionality of it are almost identical, but what it adds in is analog sticks, which enables you to enjoy PS1 gaming, N64 and Dreamcast as well on this amazing little device. The ROG 34X was Anbernic's second attempt at creating a GBA SP clone. The previous 35X was great, but not quite there. And the ROG 34X basically fixed all those issues and added the cherry on top of analog sticks. Anbernic have created a near perfect clone console that is as comfortable, as enjoyable, and as fun to use as the original Game Boy Advance SP. And with that comes all the pocketability and nostalgia of such an amazing device. Carrying on with the nostalgia vibes, and the Retroid Pocket Classic was a really interesting release from Retroid last year. Retroid tend to kind of play it safe, releasing only about 2 or 3 consoles a year, keeping in the similar kind of lanes. You've got the more traditional Retroid style devices like the Retroid Pocket 4, 5, and 6 that we're about to see, but they've also added in some uniqueness with the Retroid Pocket Flip in the lineup. However, the Retroid Pocket Classic was a step further, focusing on a more traditional style Game Boy form factor. The Retroid Pocket Classic perfectly blends nostalgia, that kind of clone approach, whilst also providing amazing power for up to and including PlayStation 2 and GameCube gaming. But what made the Retroid Pocket Classic even more interesting were the colour options and the slight variety on the style that you could pick. You could go for the more traditional Game Boy style one, and I went for the one that followed the Pokemon Yellow theme, similar to the original Game Boy Color. But if you wanted, you could even go for a Sega Saturn style version of the Retroid Pocket Classic, which had 6 face buttons instead of just the traditional 4. This for me was brilliant, and with my Pokemon Yellow version of Retroid Pocket Classic, it has become my favourite gaming handheld to play classic Pokemon gaming on. And honestly, an absolutely fantastic option for anybody that wants a more classic feel, but we're still getting access to some of the later generations of retro gaming options. Next up was one of my favourite retro gaming handheld lineups from Anbernic, and that is the ROG 557. The ROG 557 is the sequel to the ROG 556. An amazing retro gaming handheld designed with near perfect ergonomics. Whereas a lot of retro gaming handhelds focus on being as pocketable as possible at the expense of ergonomics, the 557 focuses on ergonomics while still maintaining a high level of pocketability. On top of that, the improvements in the 557 bring about some serious power for PlayStation 2 and GameCube gaming. Along with that, improved controls and analog sticks really make the ROG 557 a huge step up from the 556. While some other devices might be easier to just slip in your pocket and go, the ROG 557 is absolutely amazing to play for long gaming sessions. That's why I love playing it on my couch for ages, or if I'm going somewhere that I've got a backpack, I love to throw it in there knowing that I can get some seriously good gaming in there and still feel like I'm holding a traditional controller for a home console. The ROG 557 is so good that I really hope we see a 558 further down the road. However, for now, the 557 is a fantastic option and one of Anbernic's best handhelds of 2025. Next up is one of the most unique retro gaming handhelds of 25, and maybe one of the most unique retro gaming handhelds we'll ever see, the Magic X040. What makes this device unique is that instead of trying to become a jack of all trades and becoming a retro gaming handheld that can cover as many emulation options as possible, The Magic X040 focuses on one thing and does it brilliantly, and that's dual screen gaming specifically for the Nintendo DS. Now yes, you can access emulation for other consoles as well, but the Magic X040 is best suited for DS gaming, and that's because of the vertical screen. But the Magic X040 doesn't stop at DS gaming. For any arcade gamers out there, it's also brilliant for vertical shooters as well. Now when I first saw images of the Magic X040, I thought it was going to be a bit of a gimmicky console, not feel that great, and maybe just be a bit of fun for 5 minutes. But when I got the Magic X040 in my hands, I was amazed to feel a fantastic build quality, really good ergonomics for the size of it, unbelievable pocketability, and a gaming experience that fits DS gaming far better than I thought it would, considering the console doesn't actually have a flip screen. I guess it feels a lot like playing on the Nintendo 2DS. With the 040, I definitely think Magic X took a risk, and it really paid off. Creating a console that isn't just one of the best from 2025, I think it might be one of the best retro gaming handhelds that we ever see when it comes to DS emulation, especially if simplicity, pocketability, and price is top of your list. The Magic X040 ticks all those boxes and doesn't cut any corners. Now from a more niche device that focuses on more lower end emulation to a device that attempts to do it all and do it the best, the Retroid Pocket 6. Now Retroid have always done a brilliant job of providing that higher end emulation from their retro gaming handhelds at a very cost effective price. And ever since the Retroid Pocket 4, I really think Retroid have found their stride with creating a really good, well-designed ergonomic handheld with great build quality and great power. The Retroid Pocket 4 was a fantastically built console. The Retroid Pocket 5 improved on it in terms of style and power, although personally I do still prefer the 4 a little bit, but the Retroid Pocket 6 takes it a step even further in introducing even more power and refining those ergonomics in the design for 2026. Retroid have really proven themselves over the past few years, and they continue to prove themselves as well, as with the design process of the Retroid Pocket 6, they incorporate the community a lot, even changing design options to suit a lot of the community's desires. But the most impressive thing, and the thing I like the most, is that they give us options for where you want the left analog stick. I always prefer my left analog stick above the D-pad when it comes to PS2 and GameCube gaming, and it's so nice to finally be able to get that option in a Retroid device. The Retroid Pocket 6 is definitely going to be a beast and one of the best retro gaming handhelds of 2026, but if you don't want to put that extra cost into it, you could still go for a Retroid Pocket 5, which still is an amazing and incredibly capable retro gaming handheld. To be honest, we are kind of reaching the point of diminishing returns when it comes to PS2 and GameCube emulation, so I definitely think you'd be safe to go for the Retroid Pocket 5, but if you want the best and most capable device from Retroid, the Retroid Pocket 6 is where it's at. Now, going back to Anbernic, and they are no strangers to releasing multiple retro gaming handhelds in any given year. And 2025 was a little bit slower than 2024, but didn't stop them from a little sneaky release at the end of the year, which completely took me by surprise, the RG476H. Now, when I first saw the RG476H, I thought it was just a bit of a copy of the Retroid Pocket Mini, Retroid's smaller version of the Retroid Pocket 5. One of the biggest reasons that made me think that was that the RG476H goes for the glass, full-face front cover like the Retroid Pocket 5 and the Retroid Pocket Mini do. It's not my favourite design choice, but it seems to be a popular choice, at least in 2025 and 2026. However, once I got my hands on the RG476H, I realised it was a bit more like a Goldilocks console that sat in between the size of the Mini and the Retroid Pocket 5. And ultimately for me, it ended up becoming even more than that. When I first got it in my hands to review, I thought I'm just going to play this for a week and then move on, because it's just going to be like pretty much every console I've looked at in 2025. But what I found was that the RG476H was so pocketable, well powered, and so comfortable to use that it was my console of choice for an entire month while completing Mission Impossible Operation Surma. Honestly, the design, pocketability, power, and the great choice to go for a mid-range size makes the RG476H one of Anbernic's best consoles of 2025, and arguably maybe my favourite. And I think this is where Anbernic really do excel, seeing an idea, taken from it, and improving as well. And the RG476H is definitely one of my favourite consoles going into 2026. Now, switching things up a little bit, and a console that I initially had low expectations for, especially when I first got it in my hands, was the Xbox ROG Ally. Or is it the ROG Ally Xbox, or the ROG Ally I don't know, it's the Xbox ROG Ally handheld. I went for the white one, which is the cheaper and slightly less powered one than the X version, the black one. But when I first got it, I wasn't entirely sure what it would give me over the Steam Deck that I already own. And after a bit of a negative first impression, which you can check out in my previous video, I ended up using the Xbox ROG Ally so much more than I expected and picking it up over the Steam Deck. Now, the most noticeable, biggest improvement for the Xbox ROG Ally over any other Windows gaming handheld PC is that the interface is so much better than previous devices. Windows and Xbox's attempt to make a more console kind of friendly user interface has really worked. It's not perfect, but it makes for a much more enjoyable experience where you can pick up and play and dive straight into video games a lot easier than in the past. Thanks to this, and with the integration obviously with Xbox Game Pass, I was able to get through some significant gaming sessions with it, even completing Halo 5. And what made it so comfortable and so enjoyable is the ergonomics of the console. Now, it's certainly not pocketable, not by anybody's standards, but what it is an incredibly comfortable and fun console to use. The design to make it feel like, I suppose, like the Xbox's version of the PS Portal, but with actual direct access to video games, makes it an incredibly comfortable and ergonomic console to use. This means that every gaming session was fun and I didn't have to cut it short because my hands were getting cramped, which has sometimes happened with the Steam Deck, even though that is incredibly ergonomic for its size. And thanks to that, what I ended up finding is that I now have a perfect place for the Steam Deck and for the Xbox ROG Ally. The Steam Deck is for more of those more relaxed, casual, cozy type of games, and the Xbox ROG Ally is for more of those fast-paced, more intense gaming sessions. The trackpads and the more chilled out feel of the Steam Deck work great for games like Civilization, and the Xbox style controller aspects of the Xbox ROG Ally work brilliantly for first-person shooters and other games like that. And with it being a Windows handheld as well, it means that the emulation on it is really simple and easy to get working. What initially felt like a console I was going to check out for the channel and then maybe get rid of later on, and had some initial bad impressions, turned out to be one of my favorite handhelds of 2025 and is one of my most used handhelds right now. Moving on to another one of my most used retro gaming handhelds, and to be honest, this is my most used retro gaming handheld. This is my go-to. This is the one I pick up all the time, have with me everywhere, play video games on it, watch videos on, and just absolutely love this device, the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. Honestly, I could be here all day going on about how good the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 is. The testament of what truly is a great console for me is the type of console that survives past that first week-long challenge, and is a console I will always pick up no matter what the time is, no matter what I'm trying to do, whether it's gaming, watching videos, or whether I've got other consoles that I want to be reviewing at the time. If this other console is screaming out to me, I know it's a good one, and that's the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. It ticks almost every single box for me. I realized in 2025 that my favorite kind of consoles are flip consoles, because they for me are the most comfortable to have around with you, the most pocketable because you don't have to worry about the screen. I think they just look really cool. I think I find them more ergonomic because you've got more real estate for the controls. You're able to have a bigger screen, and I think just overall it's a perfect form factor for a handheld. And whereas the initial Retroid Pocket Flip gave it a good shot but made some bad design choices, the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 does it all brilliantly. The controls, the analog sticks, the screen size, the screen type, the OLED screen, the power, and even the awesome color choices, just everything is perfect for me in the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. I genuinely mean it when I say I have it with me everywhere. I play emulation on it, I play Game Pass on it, and even games like Fortnite with the kids. I use it for watching movies, I watch it with my wife in bed, watching Disney or Netflix or Prime. It's a fantastic little console, and one of my favorite things is that because it's a flip console, the screen, it's kind of like it's got its own stand. You can sit it anywhere and you can just angle the screen so that you can see it. You're not having to balance it against anything so then it stays propped up or use a secondary kind of holder for it. Honestly, I think Retroid have knocked out the park with the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. And for me, there's no doubt we're going to see a Retroid Pocket Flip 3 at some point, but the Flip 2 is so good, I don't even feel like I need a Flip 3. It literally ticks all of the boxes for me, and it was my favorite retro gaming handheld of 2025. And it's going to be pretty hard to beat it even in 2026. However, saying that, I did say it's almost perfect because it is a flip console, but it isn't a dual screen console. And this is where the AY and Thor comes along. The AY and Thor is pretty much identical for me to the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, except that it also adds in a second screen, and it adds it in brilliantly. The integration of the second screen has been done seamlessly to the point where even the Android interface uses it brilliantly. When the AY and Thor was first announced, I did feel like it could be clunky, a bit awkward trying to get that second screen to be used. But with just following a few guidelines on the internet, getting dual screen gaming working on the AY and Thor is an absolute breeze, and it does it brilliantly. Now, for the benefit of this extra screen and the extra power that the AY and Thor comes with, you are going to have to spend a little bit extra money. But I think for anybody that's looking for an end game level device and likes flip consoles the way I do, the AY and Thor could be your answer. Like I say, it does pretty much everything the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 does, but it does it even better with more features and more power. But I will be totally honest with you, I don't actually use it as much as I use my Retroid Pocket Flip 2. I think because it's cost me more money, I do find it isn't technically more fragile, but it feels more fragile because it costs more. I find myself being more selective when using it. My approach is basically, if the Retroid Pocket Flip can do it, I'm going to use that for it. But if the Retroid Pocket Flip can't do it, like dual screen gaming, then I've got the AY and Thor there. But to be totally honest with you, if you told me I could only keep one of those two consoles, 100% I would keep the AY and Thor. It does everything the Retroid Pocket Flip does and more, which is why for me it makes it one of the best consoles to have released in 2025 and potentially the best console going into 2026. If you want to get your hands on any of these consoles, links will be in the description below with discount codes for any websites that apply. But if you have any other consoles you would put into this list, tell me in the description below. But if you want to see what my expectations and predictions for 2026 are when it comes to the retro gaming handheld world, then check out this video right here.